there, and welcome back to Four Times in a Podcast. You join us on the evening of 26th of August. It's about half an hour since Celtic were knocked out of the Champions League in humiliating fashion, drew nothing each with Kairat Almaty again, and then lost on penalties after missed penalties from Adam Ida, Luke McCowan and Desmond, which means that Celtic will be playing in the Europa League. Full compliment, as you'd expect. This is a completely horrendous, unacceptable result from Celtic. It was another absolutely pitiful display from the team. So we've got a lot of people to pull up for it, whether it be the players on the park, the manager, and I think we're going to have a lot to say about how the board has put us in this position. It was just over 6 months since we were 30 seconds away from taking Bayern Munich into extra time in the knockout phase of the Champions League, and then 6 months later we've been knocked out by Kairat Almaty, who have as good a European pedigree as Hearts. So as I say, full compliment. Myself, Darren, joined by Danny, Tony and Andy. Danny, I'll come with you. We've seen some horror shows from Celtic over the years. We spoke about them last week. This, again, was right up there, and the penalty shootout just sort of summed up what an absolutely horrific performance and result this has been for Celtic.
Aye, the club got exactly what it deserved tonight. Just pitiful, really pitiful. 90 minutes, just, you've got a tie there that's begging to be won, and they couldn't raise an effort to go and win it. Just never looked like scoring the whole night in normal time, just like the week before. No urgency, it didn't look like they had a plan in possession. Especially first half, every player looked slow and ponderous and hesitant, and just I think every player on the park made the wrong decision at one point in the first half of the ball. Second half was a wee bit better. Subs freshened up a bit, but you only get extra time because that mob was so bad. Like, a half decent team takes 3 or 4 off Celtic tonight. Just so bad. You can't blame the conditions because, it's the same for both teams. They had the exact same problems in reverse last week. Yet they sat in, dug deep, got their draw last week, they take it back. They didn't look like scoring either, to be fair, but that's because they were that bad. I think extra time, Celtic were a lot better. You thought, where's this been? Do this half an hour ago, I might not been this best. Sorry, Maeda's miss at the end. Fuck me. I mean, he's made it harder for himself by running onto his weaker foot, and he's never, and I know it's a trademark of Maeda, he's got that daft, uncontrollable style look where he looks like he isn't in control of himself. But how many times does he end up trying to kick a ball and ends up in his arse at some point? And he's just so unreliable. Love him to bits. Phenomenal player, phenomenal athlete, had a phenomenal season last year. But time and time again, he proves that he's ultimately unreliable, and that fucking breaks my heart to say that, because I love him to bits. And if there's a half-decent offer out there for him, you probably need to take it. And that's got nothing to do with trying to offset loss out of the Champions League. It's just, maybe it's time to find somebody that, when he goes through and goal, you think he actually might score or hit the target. But extra time, I thought the boy Donovan was quite good when he came on. He showed up well. McCowan looked bright, should have scored. And but it was like, that after 5 minutes extra time, I'm just sat in and thought, fuck this, we'll go to penalties. And then you get to penalties, and you think, right, he's got a point to prove, and he does that. Probably the worst penalty. And then you get out of jail because the boy tries to be a smart ass and chips it off the bar, and you think, oh right, we're out of jail here. Who's coming up? McCowan? Or McCowan's usually reliable, hits a good ball. Just compose yourself, hit it low and hard by the keeper. But no, I'm going to do what Ida tried to do and just pass it into the net. Fucking pathetic. They two, in particular, should have a fucking long hard look at themselves, because that was amateurish. So it was. See, this pish about penalties becoming a lottery is fucking awful. We've got better players than them. We should be able to fucking score penalties. Keepers should have saved one and all that. Israeli boys, he should have stood up. He went away too early and showed them where he was going. And then you've got Engels, who should have took the first penalty, because if he'd have got a penalty in normal time or extra time, he'd have fucking took it. So why is he not taking the first penalty? And he sticks it away. McGregor as well, to be fair. McGregor, who was shite in 90 minutes, but actually played really well in extra time. Don't know how that happened. He's probably going to need to be phased out of the team this season and next. You can't afford to make the same mistake we did with Brown, where you end up at a point where he's playing every week and he's not quite where he was at, and and it's costing the team and whatever. And you're out in your arse. And the Celtic team deserved it, or the performance of the legs. The manager deserved it for his tactics and his selection of the two legs. And the board deserve it for their inaction over the last 3 months. I think the Scottish Cup final was 3 months tomorrow. I said it last week that I felt there was a kind of apathy about losing that game. It was almost as if, we don't win them all, we'll just kind of plug away. To think we've lost another penalty shootout 3 months later, it's just unthinkable. And look at how we finished that game tonight. You've got Scales at left back, and he's out his depth at centre half. He's out his depth at left back. You've got Dane Murray, who's a young boy coming in. You've loaned a boy from Man City who, seen Merriam in the stands than we have as a Celtic player. Seen Merriam before he signed in a Celtic gear before. We've seen him. Donovan having it. You've Johnston's out injured, and then Ralston's playing, and then you're having to bring on a young boy because Ralston's fucked. And then you're like, this is to get into the Champions League. This is to get to the top table of European football, where Celtic, as the champions of Scotland, should be every single season. Not a game changer on the bench. Nobody actually that came off the bench and you're thinking to yourself, Ida, you need to score coming off the bench because you've been shite all season and it's got to change now. And the same way Engels and that, you're thinking you've got to be good because you've been shit. But there's nobody actually coming off the bench in that squad that you think, he's actually going to make a difference. It's all hopeful when maybe law of averages might work out that Ida might put one in the net. And we don't have a reliable striker. We don't have a reliable... they two wingers in the first half. I made the joke in the group chat that they need to switch the wingers so Yang's further away from me the next time he gives the ball away. Every time he get the ball, daft first touch, shite second touch, gave it away, easy pass, no, I'm going to try something else. Forrest fucking hiding, running. In fact, I seen him in the second half run back 10 yards when he was never going to get the ball and then run away. Couldn't wait, just shite, the two of them. And yet, there's nobody to bring off the bench. Again, he brings Ida and Engels on. It's a total rejig of the team. Nygren, where the fuck was he in the penalty shootout? Every time the ball went out of play, it was a corner, it was a free kick or a shy, he was for fucking out it. Gets to when you actually, maybe he'll heel to a beat. Like to think he might strike a decent ball. Nowhere to be seen. So, and how Maeda got to take one after that miss, his confidence must have been shot. Somebody in there's got to take responsibility, and I'll let you go now, but the board have left it up to chance. They get left up to a penalty shootout. Now, of course, Celtic should be good enough to beat Kairat Almaty or two legs. Of course, the team Rodgers put out should be good enough to win. But the board have let this negativity surround the club, fucking infest the club, and totally fucking strangle it now. And it's now hurting the club. And, we're now in a point where we're out the Champions League, we're in the Europa League. Fuck knows how that's going to go. We don't look like we're fucking set to compete in that. We're talking a couple of signings coming in tonight, tomorrow. Again, it's not going to be enough because you've left it so fucking late. Is this, are you even going to try in the Europa League? I don't know. But again, the players don't look that fussed. You get Schmeichel chasing folk down to shake cons with the other team. Rodgers chasing the man. Nobody looks upset. Nobody looks bothered. Is it just the fans that are actually feeling this? Because, last week the board were getting sack the board flung at them, and yet not a fucking ounce of fucking feeling it looked like. They were just sitting there waiting for something to happen. The manager again this week, the team this week, there doesn't seem to be any fight. There doesn't seem to be any urgency to, do you know what, like McGregor's rallying the troops and saying, right, let's just fuck this mob of shite. It should have been at half time, but look, this mob of shite. Let's just go, whatever it takes, get it done. But there doesn't seem to be that urgency anymore. And, I'm blaming the board for it. I think they've let the negativity completely surround the club and, as I say, strangle it. But fuck knows where we go from here. It's a complete fucking mess, and it's all of our own doing.
Tony, I'll let you come in. As Danny said, we got absolutely what we deserved tonight, just in terms of whether it be the board mismanagement or Brendan's mistakes, the players' inadequacies. It was just a shameful night in Celtic's history tonight.
Aye, but it's no surprise. I think that's the worst part, is that going into it, I continually said last week, that we were getting into this game with 4 or 5 players that I don't think would have started for Kairat. Ralston, Yang, Forrest, Scales, you could argue Bagida as well. I think that could be game set in the match for him missing that penalty, and it was a dreadful penalty. It was somebody just so devoid of confidence. So for me, I don't know where to start. I mean, the game itself was garbage, but we knew it was going to be like that. I think I wasn't on last night. I predicted 1-0, but there was a big part of me thought we would probably go out. And I thought we deserved to go out. I think Kairat played like a shite team because they are a shite team. Played for free kicks, shouted for everything, but you didn't give them credit. They probably took one look at us and went, they're shite as well. We can definitely get a result here, and they did. We never scored once in over 200 minutes against a team that I think's ranked lower than Hearts in the coefficient. So that, for me, is pathetic. But for weeks, the manager said we need reinforcements up front. Weeks and weeks. And this board, Nicholson and the other people on the board, and obviously Lawwell, and then the majority shareholder, have sat and done fuck all. During that time, they've taken money off us for season tickets, take money off us for qualifiers, take money off us for Falkirk in the Cup, released umpteen shirts. And I said it last week, and it was very harsh sounding. I'll say it again. Dermot, Desmond, Michael Nicholson, Lawwell and the Celtic board fucking hate us with a burning passion. They won't communicate with us. They're forever trying to come up with excuses to ban fans. They're forever getting in their own way. The stadium's a shite hole. The catering's shite. So many I mean, even the outside of the stadium, they couldn't even be bothered to put banners up. The squad is in a poor state and it never needed to be. These people do not give a flying fuck about Celtic fans. They want your money and they want you to shut up. And for me, I think, Darren, you mentioned that, you're probably touching it. You can maybe cancel the home cup ticket scheme. I'll be doing that. No way am I getting them money for the Europa League, because they don't do anything good with my money. I give them my money and they don't do anything with it. If they were, see if we'd have spent 20, 30 million or even less and go to the manager we wanted and we went out, I'd go, fair enough. That's fine. We've made an effort here. They've made no effort. They've made absolutely no effort whatsoever. Inamura's no deemed good enough. Osman's no deemed up to it. Yamada's obviously no up to it. Negren's so. I can't even mind who else was saying. Tierney can't last a full game. Andy was a free. So that they've no desire to put my money back in to transfers and improving the squad. And that's all I want. Or even improving the stadium, or just doing something for the fans. So for me, if that can be done, cancelling the home cup ticket scheme, I'll be doing it. I think they deserve for not a fan to be in the stadium for the Europa League. Obviously, that's not how it'll go. And no doubt they'll announce a couple of signings over the next couple of days, try and get fans back inside. But I seen a quote from Nicholson about being world class. I mean, that guy's a useless cunt. I would fuck him at the door immediately. Our non-executive chairman, who has been at the club during Maribor, fuck even getting back, Artemina Bratislava, whatever you called them, Cluj, Ferencvaros, and now joining the list is Kairat Almaty, another stick to beat these stupid bastards with. So for me, I just need these people at the club. Dermot to sell his shares would be absolutely fantastic. Get people in that actually know what they're doing. Know a guy that owns airports, and another guy that's been at the club for 30 odd years that basically none of the fans want there. Then you've got Nicholson, who's a mute, let's be honest, raking in extreme amounts of cash. And you'd think, sack the board chance, a lot of disharmony, the manager having all these questions been asked. Where's the leadership to come out and speak to the fans in a direct manner, or speak to the press? None. He's a coward. He's obviously a coward. He's refusing to face up to his failings, and it's disgraceful. And see, to be fair, the only positive, or two positives, are not getting in the Champions League. One is we'd probably have set the record for being the worst team ever in it, and two, maybe these cunts will not get as much bonus. So that does me. I'm quite glad. The only bad thing is when Michael Nicholson lose, it means Celtic's lost as well. If they two could be separate, it would make me a very happy camper. But unfortunately, they're tied until he's sacked or walks away. But nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. There'll still be fans that are defending their beloved millionaire overlords for whatever fucking reason. So for me, I can't even go on about Brendan. I think the players we've got are just shite. We've got so many bad players. And again, I don't want to harp on about them. But guys like Ralston, he's not going to... It was a cross he put in extra time. I think it's still in orbit, but he's been doing that for years. We've never replaced him. Guys like Scales, it's just not good enough. Yang, I mean, holy fuck, you would never play him again. But I remember after like the cup final, the game at Ibrox, saying, right, can't have Scales in important games again, can't have Yang play. And then 3 months later, here you are with these guys playing such a huge game, and they're still bad. So, I mean, absolutely got what we deserved. I have no complaints in that. I'm glad I won't need to watch that team go up against a Barcelona, PSG, or even a lesser Champions League team, because we would have got absolutely torn to bits. So for me, Dar, I'm sure you'll touch on it, I'll be looking to cancel the home cup ticket scheme. No way am I giving them any more money. I feel kind of disappointed that I gave them money for the season ticket, but obviously we've got such an emotional attachment in that regard. There'll be people, obviously, they've always got a retort, and as I said before, you can beat and disagree and totally destroy any argument in support of this board. People say you're spoiled and entitled. This has been building and building. This has been constant failings in such a large scale when it comes to these European games. And I would say we've been favourites to qualify for everyone, and mismanagement's led to us not doing it. So fuck them. They're not getting any more money off me.
Andy, your thoughts on a terrible night for Celtic?
Aye, I think the boys have summed a lot of mine, and it's probably the majority of Celtic fans' feelings up. Far from good enough. A disgraceful performance, to be honest with you. The amount of texts and messages and group chats and all the rest of it, which I'm sure everybody's had after the game, and the words that are being used are all the same. Pathetic. It's just far from good enough. Only the sort of two games themselves. Like, I struggle to think of us being put out or beat off a worse side, and I struggle to think of a worse games or sort of anything worse that I've sat through really. And I mean, we've all sat through some utter shite in our time. Watching Celtic in Europe in particular, just devoid of any real leadership, of anybody taking a bit of onus. Somebody just to grab a game by the scruff of the neck, make something happen. The team didn't look as if they fancied it. It's just across the board. It was just miles and miles and miles away from where we should be, where we were against in last season, where we were against Bayern Munich. Like, I remember, just to get back to that game, see the optimism. Celtic getting put out of Europe after Bayern Munich. So close to winning the game in 90 minutes in Munich and then taking them extra time. Fucking brilliant, but heartbreaking to go out. But everybody was so optimistic after that. We were finally seeing something we'd been begging for years and years and years, and it was Celtic to make a real go at Europe. And as we've all said before, no expecting to go win the Champions League, but we thought finally we might have turned a corner here. We're going to go in prepared, we're going to make a right good go at it, and we're not going to embarrass ourselves in Europe anymore. And that was after, obviously, years and years of making an absolute cunt of qualifiers. Yet here we are once again, the people who run this club, costing us, totally making a total, complete and utter arse of things, because they'll not go and sanction transfers for manager. They'll not go replace players that leave. They will not be forward thinking enough to think, right, he might leave in the window. Should we maybe think about replacing him? Should we have a couple of guys lined up that we can replace? We've spoken a million times before. Never mind Kuhn, we've not replaced Kyogo. Like, just so many times where we just shoot ourselves in the foot. Like, this tie shouldn't have been up in there. A 1.5 game, aye, fair enough, that can happen against any team, but when you've got two legs against a team like that, it's nothing short of a fucking disgrace that you don't get through that tie. And in any other walk of life, if somebody's failing that badly in their job, they're answering questions, but no our board. It'll be all very hush-hush. They'll no need to actually answer any questions, and they'll just carry on. Their bonuses won't be affected. Yet, here we are, year on year. The price of your season ticket goes up, but let's be honest, the value of it's gone down. All they've done for season upon season upon season is keep the prices up across the fucking board, whether that's the price of a pie or the price of a box. Season on season, the prices went up, but the value across the board has fucking plummeted, and it's continuing to plummet. Whether it be taking games away, just taking fans for an absolute fucking ride, because ultimately they know there's an emotional attachment there. People will plough money in. They'll always do it. It's always been done, and they just take people for a ride. Like, I think Tony, Darren, I think you're both spot on. Like, there has to come a point where something drastic's going to have to be done. Whether that is fans just refusing to put date anymore until something changes, i.e. board members are fucked out and no welcome back. But it's just a total failing across the board. It's a total failing of recruitment. It's a total failing of the boardroom. I mean, even now, you're going to watch that. We'll wheel out a couple of signings now, and it'll mean fuck all in the grand scheme of things, because there's been such a dent done already now. We've lost it, and the board, we know it's all about money and it's all about profits and it's all about how good we look at the end of the year and look at our big flashy bank balance. 40 million gone. No prospect of it. You don't even make half as much in the Europa League. Do you really back us? See, we get through this Europa League phase, get the January window. Do you really back us to go and actually do anything about that and say, why don't we put ourselves in a good position to try and go and actually win a knockout tie? Because I fucking don't. I've seen no evidence that they're willing to try it when they're raking money in at the highest level of football. They're not even willing to do it then. What fucking chance have we got now when it's Europa League? They'll wheel out these packages for this. Every cunt will probably end up getting a fucking email landing about Europa League and how about we'll have packages out soon before this podcast is even live. But all they'll be thinking about now is what's the maximum we could put these packages at without one of the statues getting fucked through the front window? That's all they'll be caring about at this point. No, we've really let the fans down. No, maybe we should come out and say something about this. No, maybe we should go and, you know what, just sanction all the transfers that the manager wants at this moment in time. None of that. It'll be, right, Europa League, what's the price? How much can we fleece out of these bastards? That's all they'll be thinking about. That's all they care about. No me, you, or anybody else that fucking ploughs money in and follows them everywhere. No, the fucking 400 or whatever it is that's travelled how many fucking hours to go to Kazakhstan. They couldn't give less of a fuck. And it's been said a million times, there'll be some people out there who will bat for them all day, every day, blindly, because, as we've said before, all they care about is not being Rangers, be better than Rangers. But some of us have got more ambition for Celtic than that, some of us want more than that, and some of us know that we're just being treated as a customer at this stage, and that should never be the case at Celtic. But Dan, as I say, I struggle to think of many worse results, if any. I can't think of a team worse than that, putting us out our two legs. And people have said a million times about how well run we are, and the board, they're so good for us, and look at the profit. We're never in danger of going under. But see, the reality is, especially after you incorporate that, our board's total failings of preparing properly, giving a manager the best chance to go through, and giving us the tools has cost us more money than it's ever made us, and it probably ever will make us, because when you look at the fucking shite that's knocked us out of these competitions over the years, it's down to the board. There's no other way to look at it. How many times have we sat saying we're going into a second, third playoff round qualifier here and we're totally underprepared, and it's all, the board will spend the money once we get through. What fucking use is that then? Like, it doesn't make a difference, because this is what happens. It only gets worse for you. There should have been no chance that we went out the other night. No chance in hell. And they've put us in this position. The team, some of the players in the team have let us down, but it's more than that. It's not the first time we've seen it, and it's down to the people that run the club for the very top down. But as I say, I can't think a worse result with our two legs, to be totally honest with you.
I agree with you, Andy. I think especially at this level of the Champions League, I think the other teams that have put us out early years had a wee bit of danger about them and were from sort of better leagues, but I think this is right up there with, as I say, one of the most shameful results I've ever seen from a Celtic team. I'm going to start going through the team and then I'll go to the board. I thought the team were absolutely shameful tonight. I thought the lineup was wrong. Nygren played well on Saturday out wide. Yet again, pushed back in the middle, Engels left on the bench, and then you've got fucking two terrible wingers in Yang and James Forrest. I've said it for fucking months on here. Forrest should not be relied upon in any capacity at Celtic now. You can be the most decorated player, whatever. Danny says it on here last week. We sabotaged the end of our season to get him a goal last season in the last 4 or 5 games. Completely unnecessary. Should have been completely focused on preparing the team for the cup final, but no, we used the last few games to, it seemed like our sole focus was to get him a goal. Completely ineffective tonight. I said it would be criminal to play him in our preview yesterday, and it came to fruition. It was just better. You'd have been better without him on the park, because it was worse than a man down, and Yang should never have kicked a ball for us again after that cup final performance. It was a shameful performance then, and he just got absolutely nothing about him. For every man he beats, he will give the ball away 20 or 30 times. I think he's pathetic. The fact that Norwich wanted to offer us money for him and we weren't interested and knew he's seen as a first team player is a shameful indictment of where we are as a club. Dies in my head. Breaks my heart to say it. Completely unreliable. if a bid came in over 10 million, Celtic should take it. He's proved himself now completely unreliable in the big key moments. The miss at Ibrox and the 1-8 draw was bad. The miss in the cup final was worse. He missed a few on Flag Day as well. And then the next one, as Danny said, you've got fuck all confidence in him in these positions. And you can say, oh, he's not a natural striker. He's a forward who should be relied upon to score a few one-on-ones. But you've got no confidence on him. And as Danny said, he ends up on his arse most of the time as well. And for this player who has got this electric pace, he should be able to get away from these last defenders and put it away. It would have been a case of getting away with it tonight if he'd have put it away, but he still should have put it away, and we should be looking forward to the league phase draw. And then, again, not necessarily on him, but why is he on a penalty? The one he scored to win us the League Cup final was a miss-hit. The one that he scored in the Scottish Cup final, the keeper basically threw it in. I would have saved it. So why he's on the 5th penalty when you've got fucking Benjamin Nigel who'll move on? Where is he? Thinks he's good enough to hit every fucking set piece we take. Why nobody on the pitch was telling him to get the fuck off him? Why McGregor or Hatate's not taking him off him? Can he beat a first man? And it's too cowardly to take a penalty. That's all I can put it down to at this point, I'm afraid. He's meant to be one of your forwards or attacking players and wants to hit every set piece apart from when it matters and it's a penalty shootout. He's happy to let Maeda and whoever go in front of him. The three in midfield I thought were terrible. Maybe got a bit better in extra time like Sim McGregor, but for me it doesn't wash. I think that Kairat sort of set out for penalties about 5 minutes into extra time and were comfortable. We obviously, apart from the Forest header in the first half, which he should have scored, it was straight at the keeper. They were comfortable with us, and it's so poor. In the midfield is where we should be. There was one point in the midfield in the second half where Ida had to drop further back than the three we had in midfield to take the ball off Carter Vickers. I don't know what our midfield's doing now. And what's happened to Paolo Bernardo? What is he had a falling out with Brendan Rodgers in training? The fact that he's seen as no been able to take him on and do any more than what they three were doing tonight. I don't get it. McGregor, I know he's the captain, but he's not in that team in form now. He's there because he's the captain. He's been really poor in a few games this season, and the fact that if Paolo Bernardo and the likes aren't good enough to get him out of the team at the moment, then we should move them on because they can't be up to much at all. And then the defence, it's such a makeshift defence. You've got Tierney, who absolutely everyone else would have signed, of course we would have, but we then, because Tierney's fitness issues, we had to bring Dane Murray on so we could move Scales to left back and bring Tierney off. Now that brings the same problems, because that means that then later on, we should never go to penalties, but the fact we did go to penalties, we could have looked to the likes of Yamada or Johnny Kenny or Osmond to come off the bench and either chase a goal in extra time or hit a penalty. But we couldn't do that because we've signed a left back that we can't get 90 minutes out of. He's a top quality left back, and as I said, everyone else would have had him back at the club, but I just don't know where we sort of go in that regard. We're linked with a left back coming from Boca Juniors. Right now I couldn't give a fuck who comes in. We've left it far too late, and that sort of brings me to the board. The summer signings we've made so far: Shin Yamada, $1.5 million, doesn't look like he's played football in his life, and at this point I don't see him ever making it. Benjamin Nygren, I've just said that, heart of a mouse when it matters. He should have been in that first 5 hitting a penalty for all he's been scoring goals and taking set pieces. Why he's no stepping up to take a penalty is beyond me. And Amura, with fucking 250 grand or whatever, you can say, oh aye, it was a risk free, but the manager's come out twice and absolutely battled him, and then had to play him on Saturday. And then you've got Tierney, who I say is quality player but can't get 90 minutes out of him. Ross Doohan, who was a tick box exercise, took the best job on in world football from Scott Bain, where he gets paid thousands of pounds a week to train and watch Celtic games. Wish it was me. Osmond, who was brought in for Fulham, highly rated, we were told by Rodgers was for the first team. Haven't seen him. Don't know what he's about. Clearly no better than Ida, Maeda or Johnny Kenny playing up front, so no got much hope there. And then Jemai Simpson-Pusey, who we signed about 2.5 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago now, and still is nowhere near ready to play a part. And what's the fucking point in having him now? We're not going to be playing Champions League. Well, he's there, he might come in and be a superstar, but we couldn't just go and sign a centre half that was ready to come in and partner Cameron Carter-Vickers instead of Liam Scales. It's a bit lost on me where we are, and it's gross negligence. And it's alright saying, oh, Desmond does this. the worst thing about it for me is that Desmond only owns, I think it's just over 34% Celtic shares, and yet he runs it as if he's the 100% owner. Like, as far as you're told, everything's going through him. I think he's 76 or whatever, so you've got some guy who's thousands of miles away, and from what you hear, there's rumours going about that he's the main man. Everything goes through him, from decisions that are made at boardroom level to transfers and whatever. I don't know how true that is, that's just based on hearsay, but where are the rest of the 60% of shareholders? Why are they no fucking coming together and getting this guy out? He's been running Celtic as his play toy for 20 years, and it's time that he has to go for me. He needs removed, and whatever, I don't know if he has any sort of iota love for Celtic or whatever, he would offer his shares up to either somebody who's going to run the club properly, or offer them up to the supporters to come together as a collective and take over, so that these sort of decisions can be made. And Nicholson should go tonight. If you want to put him out as your CEO, who's the face of all these decisions, then he really has to go. And yeah, he's not going to. You're going to, 3 months' time at the AGM, he's going to get voted to remain as the CEO. Lawwell's going to get kept, and they're all going to get big share bonuses and wage rises. And that's what Tony sort of covered on it. Is I don't know how we come together as a support to remove them without taking money away from them. But I'm probably going to be looking to cancel my home cup scheme. There's nothing from Celtic that encourages me to remain on the home cup scheme. Why would I guarantee them the income from me for every game when they're looking to minimise the spend that they make in the club but maximise profit? They sold Nicholas Kuhn in the first week of July or whatever it was, and they have absolutely hamstrung this manager and weakened the team every sort of way they can. They've destructed this team. That's why, do you know what, see, on its own regard, this result probably is a sackable offence for Rodgers, but if there wasn't so much shit behind the scenes that we can clearly see is having an effect, and do you know what, see, if it meant that Desmond and Nicholson and Lawwell were all removed as well, if Rodgers had to go as part of that, then that's fine by me, because he doesn't get a pass for the night. I think he still makes poor decisions in terms of Forrest, Yang, even Scales, and I think he came back to sort of repair his reputation. He done that to an extent, especially with that Bayern performance last season, but there's every chance that this is how it's going to be remembered now, because fans don't care as much about Europa League. It's just sort of, as we spoke about, if you fought in it after going out to a Basel or Bodo Glimt or somebody who's got a bit about them and been doing it in Europe for years, then maybe you can accept it, but this is an unacceptable result. It's worse than AEK Athens for him, and he has to take a bit of the brunt of that as well. And so for me, cancelling my home cup scheme, it takes £200 or whatever it is away from them in guaranteed European revenue. And on its own merit, why would I stay in the home cup scheme anyway? For years, Celtic have been siphoning away the sort of general sale tickets for Hampden and selling them off as hospitality packages, so why would I remain on that anyway? So that's the only way I can see we can affect them. And as I say, I'm just absolutely scunnered with the night. It was so predictable, and yet it's played out the way it is. You're now going to see the rest of this week where we announced 2 signings, and there's going to be no sort of positivity from the support, and it's because of the people that run the club, and they need to take the brunt of it. People should be getting removed from their positions as soon as the night, but we're run like an old pals act, so there's zero chance of that happening. But Danny, how does the sort of rest of the week look for you? Do you think there will be any sort of consequence to this result, or do you think it will be a case of sign 2 new players and start happy clapping in preparation for Sunday?
The 2 new players that are meant to be coming in, Balikwisha and Sirachi, are about to find out how good the life's at Hotel Spa is, because they'll all be leaving there for a few days. How are you meant to announce 2 players tomorrow? Like, what are you meant? See, they got to start tweeting out teasers or something to fans. I'm trying to remember what it's similar to. I'm pretty sure something similar happened to that when we went out years ago, when we signed a few players. It might have been under Dyla with Malmo, but to be fair, I can't remember. I just remember Van Dijk leaving. That the thing about Kuhn is, I've just been talking to somebody on Twitter about that. You sell Kuhn and then you hold fucking Tilio hostage until you send. I mean, at least back in the day we used to hold on to Van Dijk, Foster, etc. until you were out of Europe. And you had players there like Van Dijk didn't want to be there, but yet he came out and tried to help us get into the Champions League before we sold him. Maybe that hurt their value. Maybe we didn't. I think we did get 13 million for Van Dijk and then another 7 later on. But the rest of the week, We've got a massive game on Sunday against a team that are begging to get beat, but yet they'll be thinking, if they've got anything about them, they'll be saying to themselves, that mob are begging to get beat or not. It could be an old. I know we'll probably come back later in the week and talk about that, but see if he says to me now, you're going to get a nut on each and just get to the fucking international break, I'd 100% take that. My mind will probably change when we're talking about it later, but the board need to act, even though it's too late, even though it's far too late, they still need to act, because this squad will serve up similar in the Europa League. Because that mob are their Champions League team. They're not even a Europa League team. They probably wouldn't do very well in the Conference League. So where are we at? Like, it's not only that we didn't beat them, but apart from the second off extra time, we never looked like fucking beating them. And they had nothing about them. Like, even when you were spreading out down all the teams that we've lost to, and like you were saying, at least they've got a bit about them. We're favourites in every single one of their ties. I can't remember a qualifier we last played where I genuinely thought we were underdogs. Maybe Arsenal under Mowbray, but Braga under Lennon was maybe a bit too soon for them. But it's like under 10 years ago, say you had to play 3-4 qualifiers. It's shite, and it can be quite hingy at the start of the season. But these are teams we should be beating. Again tonight, it's a team we should be beating. And the board, and I'll say it again, as much as you said about Rodgers going out, could be a sack from the offensive manager. I get that, but I just can't get away from the fact that this board have sat there all summer and just let this negativity just creep in. And they all, I mean, don't get me wrong, I was thinking that watching Celtic extra time the right, fuck me, we're going to get away with this because this mob are so bad. And the board, I'm a fan, I can think that. I'm not the one that's got the actual ability to fucking do something about it. We're on my knees because the board, now, we've spoken about, this isn't the last time we'll talk about them this season, I'm sure. But I said it last time, I think, maybe it was the last week as well. They've obviously been of some sort of use to Celtic. You don't end up with all that money in the bank, right? And Celtic are by far and away the dominant team in Scotland at the minute. We've won, right? But they're at a point now, and it's probably been the case for the last couple of years, where they are actively holding the club back now. They're actively in our way of progressing. And when you get to that point, you need to step aside and say, it's not for us anymore. And people go on about the bank balance and we'll never go bust. So, see if we were to lose money, right? And you lose that money in the bank, the board just set up to somebody that will come in and fucking buy it. How hard is it to set a football team these days? It can't be that difficult. So, but you're actually at a point where you're in such a position of strength. You wouldn't, just to step aside, and somebody with stupid money would be dying to sting Celtic, considering there's about 100 million sitting there for them when they get there. But the board are just getting in our way now. And they've let this negativity, it's seeped through the crowd. The fans have been on it all summer because you're sitting looking at a team and going, could really be doing with a few players all out there. There's a winger away. Right. We sold a striker in January. Now, Kyogo's obviously, we've all been told, and what Rodgers has said, has obviously been banging the door down for August trying to get sold. You find a decent enough deal and you swap him for Jota, effectively. Alright, Jota's injured, and that's unlucky. But, you're sitting like, well, Jota's injured. We've not got a winger. So we need to go and sign him out. You've just sold the other one we've got. Yang is showing flashes, very, very minor, small flashes. Ultimately can't be trusted. This is his third year. He can't be trusted. Maeda had a purple patch last year, played through the middle. Everybody thinks he's a fucking centre forward. What more evidence do you need that he's a very, very, very good athlete who plays out wide? I think he's a phenomenal player. I love him to bits, but he's ultimately unreliable, as he's proven in the last, I think, is it 4 or 5 times he's out through and goal. But God love him. And you think, well, you know what, maybe we should bring somebody in, and you see Tierney coming in, and nobody's surprised that Tierney's not playing 90 minutes. Everybody's seen it coming. You had a very good left back who was at the club for a few years, who you might have had to overpay to keep him as a second choice. You might have had to overpay, but no, he's away, let him go to Greece. Now we're stuck with Scales, trying to run down the wing and getting caught out fucking position all the time, screaming out for a centre half because you've got Scales. You settled to who we're never really going to make. Well, I know they've loaned out in the Rocky, but whatever, they're Lagabelle because away. If Rodgers fancies Dave Murray, fair enough, because I think Dave Murray's a decent player. but you would maybe want a wee bit of experience. Carter Vickers doesn't look fit to me. He's been a bit off the boil. He had another kind of dodgy moment tonight. I don't know if he's fully fit. I don't know if he's just bored. The fact that he's had to bail out most of these fucking idiots for the last couple of years. You've got a very good right back in Johnston with an able deputy in Ralston, but not able in the sense that if this boy's going to be out for 3 months, you would fully trust Ralston to play every game. So you're probably going to need, no, let's not do that. Midfield, McGregor's going to need phased out. You know, Engels never really hit the heights, but there's potential there. McCowan looks like a decent wee addition. You know, Hatate, on his day, is fantastic. Bernardo, who, damn, you brought him up, is a very good player with all the potential in the world. And not only is he very good a footballer, he actually's got a bit of dig about him. He actually gets about the park and wants to make things happen and wants to, off the ball as well. And then in attack, you're like, well, we need a striker because he does no firing. You know, he's no firing. Maybe you sign somebody to give him a kick up the arse. Well, no, you bring in a boy for Fulham's B team who can't get a look in, or a boy for Japan that, you know, the manager clearly doesn't want. And, you know, at the Inamura, boy Rogers has buried him publicly twice. You know, it just, you know, we've all heard the other Celtic podcast name's Harry Brady last week talking about Desmond and that. And I'm trying to fight with myself whether, you know, Desmond would actually throw Rogers under the bus, considering it was his decision to get him in the first place and then bring him back. But like, who is signing these players? I mean, we made more money for Frimpong going to Liverpool than what we've spent on a player this summer. And that might all change during the next couple of days, but like, why are we in this situation? You know, you don't need to go bankrupt to get into the Champions League. We didn't need to go bankrupt to beat Kairat Almaty tonight. And do you know the thing is, right? See, if you didn't even need to, you wouldn't even need to have addressed all our issues to beat Kairat Almaty, right? Because we fucking should have beat them anyway. But see if you just go out early on and make a few signings, just sow that negativity for the fans. And, you know, because it's no negativity straight away. Obviously, it's concern. Well, we need players here, we need players there. And then it turns into negativity when you get to the season and you pre-season and you start the season and you don't get these players in. And you think, what are they waiting on? And then it turns into full negativity when they see that you're fucking actively gambling to get into the Champions League. And should the squad have beat Kairat Almaty? Of course it should have. But see, when you put all the factors into play and the negativity which is now surrounding the club, no real Celtic fan, you know, was supremely confident he was going through the night, which is a joke because we should have fucking walked it. All they had to do, mate, address these concerns early, because obviously Johnson's still going to get injured, right? That's going to happen anyway, you know. But if you just address some of these concerns, the club's in a healthier state, the fans are more optimistic, the club overall is in a better shape, we probably go and dust that mob home and away. But this negativity that they've let seep in through the summer is now fucking, it's engulfed us and we're in this mess. And it might be too late, but they're going to need to do something in the next couple of days. We're heading into a big game on Sunday, and then we've got the rest of the season. You can't just write the season off in August. We've got a treble to go win. That's got to be the bare minimum now. And a very, very good run in the Europa League. But, you know, I don't think we're equipped for that at the minute.
Aye, I would agree with you. As I say, I think the sort of Europa League could have been an avenue, but even looking at the teams that we could come up against there, I don't think any of them are worse than Kairat, so I would be worried about how we might fare in that after a few years. I actually thinking we might have had a lengthy run. I just can't see it at this point right now. Tony, will come to you. I know we're going on a bit, but we'll just get one bit more from you and Andy. So I'll go for you. What's next for Brendan then? Do you, he takes a portion of the blame of this, but would you expect that this will sort of almost seal the fact that he will see out this season and then go, or do you think there's any sort of coming back from this?
There is coming back for it. If he wins on Sunday, the board will be off the hook, he'll be off the hook, and all the players will be off the hook with the majority of fans. For me, at this stage, maybe it's best he just goes at the end of the year or end of the season, because there's so many fans who just still can't get him leaving. They're like scorned lovers, and he's apparently been this disastrous manager for us, despite never losing a league title. The same people that call him the worst manager ever actually somehow still like Neil Lennon, which I find fucking mesmerising. I find it quite incredible. People that hate Brendan Rodgers but love Neil Lennon, it just fucking absolutely baffled my brain. So maybe at the end of the season he's as well leaving, and we'll let the board bring in, maybe they'll bring Lennon back. That would be what some of the fans deserve. Then I would never be back, just to clarify. We just need to pick ourselves up. needs to get the new signings in. The way he's no helped himself is he could have come out and says, look, I know I says I'm going to be here for 3 years, but I can't do this because Desmond, Lawwell and Nicholson, they're all actually really shite at their job, so I'm resigning. That would have done the Celtic fans a bigger favour than anything, because then we could have mobilised properly against the board. You would have had more people that could then go, right, we need to actually properly put planning in place to rid the club of these people. Hopefully that can still happen and kind of things can kick into gear, because how many failings do you allow these people to have? And they're costing us, it's funny. If we say we play Tel Aviv, for example, in the Europa League and we get fined for some sort of banner, people go, oh, the game gig cost us so much money. Between Maribor, Malmo, Midtjylland, Cluj, Ferencváros, Kairat Almaty, AEK Athens. So you always say about 30 million for the Champions League. 7 times 30 is 210 million. That's essentially nearly £250 million this board have cost us with their underinvestment and failures to qualify. Now, every team I named there, we are 10 times the size of, and we should be beating them in qualifiers. You could maybe excuse one bad one where you go, but 7 of the qualifying campaigns out to teams for fucking Kazakhstan, went to fucking Sweden, Hungary, all over the place, and that's on the board. So for Rodgers, he'll need to just kind of pick his cell up, need to prepare for the derby. He'll need to be banging on the door for more than just 2 signings, a winger and a lone left back, which again is absolutely pathetic for the board with the amount of money they have, is no good enough. So I've been saying for a while, I'm still quite nervous about the league. I think if they beat us on Sunday, it's going to really... That's when a lot of our fans... There's 2 things this week that could really make the fans that are kind of happy clappers stand up against the board. If Rangers pull off a miracle tomorrow and qualify for the Champions League, and if they beat us on Sunday, that might wake up a few people, but a lot of people are kind of stuck in happy clapper land. Remember the 90s, you're spoiled, you're entitled, all the boring brain dead bullshit you've heard a million times. So for me, I think Andy touched on it, they're devaluing everything. Stadium's getting worse, season tickets are getting up, but the quality of what you're getting is getting down. It really is time, I think, for a lot of people to think, do you want to keep getting your money to pay Michael Nicholson's salary? No, is the answer to that for me. Really don't. Really kind of, as I say, I dislike a lot of the people at Celtic, and see if they'd have communicated and says, look, we are holding money to really improve the stadium, you go, right, okay, that's fine. Or we're holding money because X, Y, Z, something, and then communicate with you. The fact that they don't think we're not worthy of a letter, we're not worthy of an email, we're not worthy of an interview with Celtic TV. They put that behind paywalls as well, some of the interviews, which again is disgraceful. We're not worthy of even a wee piece on the website. Every month, I think Danny says Michael should come out and say a couple of paragraphs of how the club's doing and what his plans are. He couldn't give a fuck, because he hates us. That's what I've said. I keep saying this. They dislike us immensely. They want us to go work as hard as we can, get our money, and then give it to them. I think the days of that are probably coming to an end. Things are very tight for people. As says, this board have already made it extremely difficult for people who are struggling. So for me, you can only look on it. I'm not that disappointed we won't be in the Champions League. I'm disappointed because it halts our kind of development. It's a shambolic exit, etc., etc. But in terms of actually watching us in the Champions League play some of these teams, I'm quite happy not to be there. I think we could definitely take a tooling in the Europa League as well. There's no anybody in there. I've gone that's a definite 3 points for the current squad. So for me, I'll always be a Brendan fan, for right or for wrong. He obviously carries some of the blame the day. I thought Engels and Ida could have been known a lot sooner. But again, I think he's just been so... He's one hand tied behind his back with some of the players he's had to play. And it's just disgraceful that the board have allowed it to get to this. So I feel a bit for him. He's obviously made mistakes. The players, they were shite, let's be honest, we'll know that. They were just so poor. I agree with Danny, I'd start phasing out McGregor now and try to bring somebody in to replace him, but they'll probably let him go the Scott Brown route. When he's totally done, he'll still be playing fucking 50 games a season. But I think there's nothing you can do now. You're out. We deserve to go out. I hope the board are hounded, but I doubt it.
Yeah, have to agree with you, and you're right. They've obviously been criticised this season already about the barriers they've been putting up in the stadium and the price increases. Obviously, their result of no strengthening the squad to an acceptable level that would have probably seen us through. Also means that 8 games will be moved to Sunday as well, which means it just ruins I know a lot of people prefer Saturday 3pm kickoffs, and that's now 8 weeks of our season where we'll be playing Thursday, Sunday. So just even wee things like that, it's just a complete shit show. And I think if we get to the League Cup final, we'll have a Europa League game the Thursday before it as well. So it's just wee things that might give you that wee extra 24 hours, 48 hours rest. Could possibly make a difference, but fuck knows, we'll get massive problems all over the shop. Andy, just before we wrap up, what's your sort of thoughts on, like, there looks to be 2 confirmed. I think they're scheduled to arrive today and get medicals tomorrow. I think the boy from Argentina might land in the UK and check his phone and maybe think about flying back, but it does look like we'll get the boy from Boca and Balquisha as well, finally, after what feels like a year and a half of chasing him. Looks like he'll be announced as well. What else is needed this week?
I don't even know where to start. And again, we've put ourselves in a position where we've overnight became a less attractive club for a player to sign for. And again, that falls on the people at the very top. It's much easier to convince a player to come and sign for you, and like, we know where, put yourself on the market for into Europe and attract to obviously one of the sort of super clubs to come and sign them. If he's playing for Celtic and we can offer Champions League football, we can't do that now. That straight away, it makes a lot of decisions for a lot of players. And I mean, it's fucking hard enough to get the board to spend money when you've got the potential Champions League money coming in one end. So it's going to be fucking harder now. We've all said, I don't know how many times, about sort of what the club's required, what players we've needed, what positions we've needed to strengthen. And Rodgers has said that he's been talking about how fans can see where the gaps are in the squad. Apparently the only people that can are the people who run the fucking club, which is beyond me. But serious questions need to be asked at this point about what happens next. And we needed a minimum of 4 was sort of the number that I think most people agreed on, but I would have said 5. I'd have said with a striker, a couple of wingers, right back, left back. I think the Johnston injuries pretty significant, and we've seen, no, that you didn't need to see the day, but we've seen for long enough that Ralston's really know the answer. And it's alright if you've got maybe one deficiency in the team, but he's not the only one. So when you start to add them all together, it causes major problems. You're needing 5 bodies in to properly strengthen a team and get it to a place where it should be. To get it to where it was last season, probably 4. And they need to be 4 good ones. But again, you're just not as attractive a proposition. You're not going to players and saying, listen, Champions League football is what we can offer you. We can offer you to put yourself on that. And last year we were talking about how great it is that now we get a minimum of 8 games. So we had 10 games at that level last season. And now you've got more trips of that sort of Kazakhstan ilk when you go into Europa League and see some of the fucking shite that you can end up having to go play there. And as Dan said, you've got that Thursday, Sunday football, and like we've not got a good track record of having a successful time in that competition. We don't have a good track record of strengthening properly, and like I've said before, people have this, we'll get a right good run at it and all the rest of it, but I don't know where that comes from. I've got fucking no idea. And I think Tony's right, with the squad as it is the new, it's not just Europe that we'll be embarrassing ourselves in, it'll be domestic football, because it's far from good enough. It's so far away from being able to go and compete in 4 fronts and sort of dairy trips, cope with injuries and suspensions that you naturally get through a season, or sort of the peaks and troughs that you get for certain players like Maeda when he's no on that sort of wee purple patch that he'll hit and all the rest of it. We don't have the squad to deal with that whatsoever, and the standard at times can be really, really poor in our league domestically, but when you see a team sort of set out the blueprint of how to fucking frustrate the life out of us, and we have 0 answers, don't even get fucking close to an answer against them, like Kairat just did, then I don't see how we can go and really be strong week in, week out, and be as strong as we should be domestically. And I think there's going to be serious alarm bells going unless signings are made. And I think, as I said, we've just made that a whole lot harder for ourselves because our refusal to be proactive and go do all this beforehand. But Dan, I think nothing changes in terms of what's required for the squad, but it's going to be a hard sell for a lot of players, and I think these are all right in what you say. Like, if it's to believe, then the sort of the 2 boys in the wing and the left back that are rumoured to be coming in is right enough, then they maybe should go into hiding for a couple of days. And I'm looking forward to seeing the replies to the comments on social media when the club post it. And it's no less than they deserve. We put ourselves in this position. We deserve to go out the night. We don't deserve to be there. There should be demonstrations. There should be people hunting the board members out of this club, because they're holding us back. That's the simple reality here. And now we're just relying upon everybody else in Scotland being shite. That's where we're at. We're just relying on them being shite and us being okay to take us out of the line. But I've got no faith or confidence that we'll go and do what's required done, because they've shown me nothing to believe otherwise.
No, completely understandable, and I think that'll do us for this episode. We're over the 1 hour mark, so we just wanted to put out a raw episode straight after the whistle. We promised it to you, so hopefully, as you're listening to this, probably Wednesday morning, hopefully gets you through your day. We'll be back later in the week to discuss that Derby game, and we'll dust ourselves down and be back, hopefully a bit more optimistic, but we'll be back later in the week, so keep an eye out for that. And cheers for listening to this one. Hail, hail.